All right. Yeah, we just, so we have the school department's request, but one of the things that I had just, mentioned was that, you know, if there are any other capital needs, even if you don't think they're gonna get funded, but it's a need that, you know, you wanna reflect that on the request, so. The two items that are on for fiscal 25, those aren't gonna change, but it's possible that there may be additional requests, or just to put on the radar for future years.
Gotcha.
The only thing is, well, we can talk about it tomorrow. I'm not sure if we have any pricing on some of that stuff, but we do have the items, and they're actually marked in the presentation.
Mhm. Okay, and, all right, so, and Dr. Cabral, did you say she was gonna be logging in? David?
I don't know. I assume so, but I'm not really sure.
All right, well, it is 6:01 and we do have a quorum,
All right.
so.
So we get started then?
Chris, if you would
I'll do the honors.
start.
All right. You want to hit record?
Oh, yeah.
Recording in progress.
Thank you.
Welcome to the April 3rd capital planning meeting. Tonight we'll be talking with the school committee and the Department of Works and Water Department. I'd like to welcome the school committee, the school department first on our agenda. Welcome, David.
Hey, how you doing? Nice seeing you again.
Nice seeing you as well.
I recognize a couple of faces here from the past. So I think Livia was going to put our PowerPoint presentation up, and I'll kind of run through it. Livia has one slide. I have a couple of slides, and then we'll take some questions, and shouldn't take too long, hopefully.
Great.
So we'll go to the next slide, Livia. All right, so as Wendy was mentioning, so I'll just kind of, before I get into that, let me introduce a couple of new people. This is Andrea. She's a school business manager. And we also have Livia, and she's our IT director. Both of them are somewhat new to the district, doing a great job. So I just wanted to introduce those two folks to you guys, because I know you may not be familiar with her. I also have, looks like Christina DiNapoli is on here too. So I think you guys might know her. I think she was on the finance committee or something. I don't know.
Hi, David.
Hi.
Well, welcome to everyone, new and old.
Okay. All right. So off to the PowerPoint. Technology is great when it works, but when it doesn't.
Well, we had it there.
Yeah, it was just there.
Sorry, Zoom kicked me off of sharing, so now I just have to queue it up again. 1 second.
No problem. Take time.
It not only kicked me off, it turned it off completely. Okay, here we go. Let's try that again. There we go.
Very good. Excellent. Perfect. All right. So as Wendy had mentioned earlier, the focus for the school department for the next 3 years is we're focusing on the security upgrade project. You may remember that last year we hired SMMA as our owner's project manager, and we also hired Gill Associates. Recently, I think it was over the fall or winter, we hired them to be the architect or the designer on this particular project. So like I said, for the next 3 years, that would be our focus, along with technology. We're looking to do purchasing some additional technology, but that's something that we've done the last several years, and you may be familiar with it. Basically, the security upgrade, this would be more for the construction work. So we are basically looking to have consistent systems throughout the school district. So as we know, we built the brand new Bland James Elementary School. So that kind of spurred us to say, you know something, we need to have systems that are very similar to the brand new building. Also, the existing buildings, Richardson Olmsted, the high school, and the middle school are both, they're all about 20 to 25 years old. So some of their technology is a little bit outdated. So we really just need to upgrade most of the equipment. So as I mentioned, last year we had received funds for SMMA and owners, who's our owner's project manager. We also got funds for Gill Associates, and they've been doing a great job. They've been working with all our stakeholders. We've had meetings with the fire department, the police department, principals, administrators. In fact, today we had a meeting. We were going over some plans and stuff with the principals over in their offices. We had a meeting set up with each principal for 1 hour, and they went really well. Most likely, if we were to move forward with the actual construction of the project would probably go out to bid sometime in the fall, probably late fall, maybe early winter. So we're still in the design development, going through schematic design also. Some of the things that we're looking to do as far as upgrades is to upgrade some of the vestibules, the entrances, keypads, intrusion system, and to also upgrade some of the exterior doors and some of the technology that's associated with those doors. But again, we're not going to be doing a project where we focus on one building. We're going to focus on different pieces of technology at different parts of the project. So we won't go in and do one whole building at one time. We'll kind of break it up, maybe do like the entrances into the buildings, or we might do the fobs, we might do the intrusion system together. We haven't really mapped that out yet, but like I said, most likely we won't do one building at a time. We'll do one piece of technology or one piece of the project at one particular time. So next slide. So this slide, now I get to turn it over to Livia, and she can give you an update on our technology needs. Thanks.
Thank you, David. And thank you, Wendy. Zoom apparently doesn't like for me to share. So for our technology requests, as you know, we shifted to one-to-one technology, as most school districts did during COVID. It's now the standard across the state for students to have devices. Obviously, that means a lot of repairs and replacements need to happen, while most of our sort of infrastructure and our software is held within the operating budget. Quite a bit of the requests that we put forth for capital have to do with the procurement of our devices for our students. So every year we order about a little over 750 Chromebooks, as well as desktop devices for our teachers, just to keep us functioning and up to date. There are additional things like boards and other equipment, projectors, things along those lines that we will often use capital for, but the bulk of the funds go towards ensuring that all of our students have one-to-one devices and are able to stay up to date with technology and what's happening in education. So that's the technology request.
Okay, next slide, please. So I'll just kind of wrap up. So as we mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, the focus for the next 3 years is really technology and security. After that, we do have some needs into 2000 after the 3 years. So that would be like 2028 and 29. So we are looking at, similar to what we've done in the past, we've looked at replacing rooftop units, in particular, the rooftop units that are on the cafeteria at the high school and the middle school, the rooftop units that service the auditorium over at the high school. We're also looking at possibly replacing a gym floor over in the Richardson Olmsted School. We also talked about possibly and this would be more in the 2030 plus, but depending if funds weren't available earlier, or we found that we had an issue, because obviously we don't have a crystal ball, so there could be some unexpected needs that come up over the next several years. But right now we don't anticipate that. But one of the things that we've talked to the DPW about was possibly having more high efficiency boilers. So if we were to have the funds and do a high efficiency boiler, we'd probably look at obviously the oldest school first, which would be the Richardson Olmsted School, and then we would move over to the high school and middle school. But right now, again, we don't have a crystal ball. I'm not anticipating any issues, but if we were to have funds that freed up, or if we had a need, we'd be obviously coming back to the capital planning committee and move some of that stuff up earlier. And we've done that before. We usually will have a list, but things kind of change as the year goes along, and there may be things that I'm talking about tonight, but who knows? Something may break 6 months from now or a year from now or whatever that we didn't really anticipate. So it's kind of a moving target, but we can really give you a general overview of what our needs are. So with that, I will entertain any questions.
Well, thank you all for the presentation. I greatly appreciate it. Is there any questions from the capital planning board? I can't see anyone right now, Wendy. So
Sorry, can you see
yeah.
my screen?
I see your screen still. Yes, so you need to stop sharing.
I got a question, Harris. Steve.
All right.
Sure, go ahead, Steve.
Are there enrollment projections you must have, and how do they affect your request for capital for like computers, laptops, and stuff like that? Is that figured into your future planning? That's the first question. Second question is, are there any capital funds that you've had for the last couple of years that you have yet to spend? So those are my two questions.
So I'll try to answer the first question. I don't know if that was a technology. I mean, the second question, I'm not sure if that's a technology question or not. But typically, when we get the funds for capital, we usually spend those within 1 year. With this particular project, I think we got capital. We got capital funding for the design. The overview of the security project. So we're in the process of doing that project and doing the design. So those funds haven't been 100% spent yet, because we're kind of moving along in the process. But as far as the other question regarding enrollment projections, I don't think we've had big jumps in our enrollment overall, but I would kind of defer to Livia on that particular question.
Yeah.
Can I interrupt just 1 minute? Leisha said she is trying to attend the meeting and she's having difficulty getting in, Wendy. I don't know if you see her out there.
Yeah,
Okay,
I will
awesome.
promote her to panelist.
Thank you. And I'm sorry to interrupt, guys.
Thank
I
you.
just wanted to make sure she got in there.
And I would say that in terms of enrollment and how it plays into devices, obviously we aren't replacing all student devices every single year. We have a 6-year replenishment cycle. So the number of devices we need may shift a little bit, but it's something we look at on a yearly basis to determine how many devices have been depleted just through things breaking, where our current numbers. We have an inventory of every device that's been handed out, and every we always have to have some spares on hand for lending out to students, particularly during MCAS time. So we always have an inventory of how many devices are available and how many need to be replaced. So it is something we would take into consideration, but I don't believe there's been a huge shift in enrollment that would impact that at this time.
Thank you.
I just had a question on the security upgrades for the schools. I mean, I'm all in favor of security. I think it's amazing. I still struggle to wrap my head around the fact that our 20-year-old doors are going to be thrown away. Which, I mean, I guess it is what it is. But how do we guarantee that 20 years from now we're not throwing away our doors because there's a better mousetrap out there? I mean, I feel like those doors. I mean, I know they get commercially used and all those things, but a door that's 20 years old seems like it should still be working as a door. I mean, obviously the security upgrades are different from its functionality as being a door, but have you guys looked at that?
So I'll jump in if that's okay. Sorry, I've been in the waiting room. I apologize, but I've heard everything. I want to, I want to assure you that, first of all, we don't know that all the doors need to be replaced, so that's not a given.
Okay.
Only doors that require certain wiring, that the wiring will not fit through the conduit that's already there, would be replaced. So that's part
Yep.
of the design that's happening right now. So it doesn't, we're not necessarily getting rid of everything. We don't want to do that. We would only do what's absolutely necessary to make sure that the buildings are upgraded in the way that they need to be.
Of course, no, I'm all for it. I just,
Yeah.
just want to make sure that I mean, in my head, it's like all the doors being ripped off for, to run some wires through. It seems like there's got to be a better way, but I get it. I know
No,
there's a lot more
we
to it
don't
than that.
actually know that we're not going to use any doors yet.
Oh, okay. All right, great.
I don't know if that was
Perfect.
said and I missed that, but that's not even the presumption right
No,
now.
I just remember it from last year's talk of it when they were in the planning phase of picking an OPM and all those things for it.
Yes, but I will note that that was all prior to having an actual designer and an actual security consultant. And now that we've met with them, we obviously have a lot better and different information.
Got it. All right, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Thank you.
Any other questions from our board members? Just one for me then, on our technology usage, have we switched over from the old non-green light bulb projectors to laser projectors for both the environmental impacts as well as the longevity of the use of the equipment?
So yes, we're constantly upgrading, obviously, again, because there are replacement cycles. We can't upgrade every single projector at the same time.
Of course.
But we do take into consideration, along with cost, environmental factors when we're looking at replacing things as they are dying out and we are purchasing new ones. So yes, that is a consideration in the replacement cycle. Again, like I said, we try to keep about a 6-year replacement cycle on a lot of things, but obviously, if it's still working, we're gonna try to get as much use out of it as possible.
And I just want to know, add to that, if I could, that 6 years is actually very, very long. I think even
Understand.
Town Hall has them replaced more often than that. So we have stretched it out as far as we possibly can. One thing that is really important to remember is that the computers that are used in an office or even in town buildings that adults are using, they're used by an adult during the day, which is very different than a third grader carrying a Chromebook home in a backpack every single night, bringing it to school, using it without supervision all the time of an adult being there. And so the wear and tear is really extraordinary despite our best efforts. And we still have a longer replacement rate than the adult computers elsewhere in the town. So we've absolutely exhausted every possibility, including extending the replacement rates on our devices to the point that obviously we have a lot of cracked screens and things like that. We have a graveyard, if you will, where we piece together and have our own little Frankenstein monsters. So I just want to assure you that we take very seriously the investment that the town is making in the technology in particular. We were we were 100% thrown into a one-to-one model because of COVID. And what we don't want to do is waste the investment that has been put into that by having that program go away and go backwards in education. So I know that that wasn't your question, but I just wanted to add that to really assure you that we've done everything we possibly can to, we get the lowest grade Chromebook we can that makes them operational with MCAS, which is our state assessment. We're not getting MacBooks or anything that that you would think was irresponsible, I assure you. And we can always provide that information too if you'd like more detail. And also being mindful that we are only putting forward 2 items that we know of, unless we have a significant malfunction that we're not aware of. I just wanted to point out that the 2 items are technology and security because we understand that they are important, expensive, And so we are only putting forward our absolute priority items for consideration. So we really appreciate support of that, and are going to try to make everything else work with whatever duct tape or whatever it takes to honor that. We know that the expenses that we're putting forward are in comparison to other departments, they're not extraordinary, but in comparison to what we've put forward for the decade plus that I've been here, it is a lot more than we've ever put forward in capital. And that's why we've literally pulled everything else out for the next 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive to get 6 years out of any electronic device, especially ones carried around by kids, is super impressive. And the fact that you guys can put them back together is that's admirable in itself.
We save every piece, every bit we can out of any device before we're done with it. And like Dr. Cabral said, we will Frankenstein it until it can no longer work, and then we recycle responsibly when it's absolutely beyond repair.
So are you having issues with the Chromebooks going out of service? I know we've had some issues at our school saying that they're no longer being supported and Chrome won't work on them any longer.
Not currently. So that is something we're very mindful about in terms of the Chromebooks that we're purchasing, and ensuring that even though they are the most economical choice, they're still supported. So we are currently still good with what we're purchasing. But that is part of the replacement cycle and the considerations that we have, which is why in a couple of years we're asking for a little bit more in funding for the technology piece, because we are going to have to buy a little bit newer of a model for our kiddos.
Thank you. We appreciate the school committee's time. Is there any further questions before I let our colleagues go? Hearing or seeing no one, I want to thank everyone from the school department for sharing their thoughts and vision with us.
Thank you. And thank you very much for your questions.
Thanks,
Okay,
everybody.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Next up is our DPW, I believe, and water.
All right. Good evening. It's always fun getting thrown into the meeting.
Welcome, David. How are you tonight?
Good. Good evening. I'm Dave Field, Director of Public Works. With me tonight is going to be Rich Turney, Water Operations Manager, and Greg Swan, Deputy Director of Public Works. Hopefully,
I'm just promoting him to panelist. There he is.
So I'll share my screen. I'll start a quick overview of DPW's request, and I'll turn it over to Rich, and he'll walk through the water. Can everyone see that?
Yes, we
Yes,
see it.
sir.
All right. So this is a list of our DPW items, and I'll go through each one in a little bit of detail. So our most important asset, number one tool to do our jobs, is our motor equipment. We currently have 67 active vehicles in DPW, and that we travel over 240,000 miles a year. Goal is to replace the vehicles at the lowest point of their total cost curve. And basically, if you look at this graph, you take away that deferring replacement of a vehicle beyond a certain point actually causes the total vehicle cost to rise, making it more costly and not cheaper to own and operate. Well, this is our current screening for replacement age. This is the first step we do in any vehicle retirement or replacement. And here is the stats on our current makeup of our fleet. Overall, you can see the operations division, which is basically the administration, buildings, grounds, and highway, is much older. We don't have a dedicated funding source like water has that ability to do. So our vehicles are much older than Waters. But overall, as a total fleet, we need to be spending about $790,000 a year to keep our vehicles where they are right now at the current level of service. Just running through what we're proposing for this year, replacing truck number 3, 2001 Mack. This has been on several years, just hasn't been funded yet. Looking for $330,000 to replace this with a new 35,000 GVW hook lift. Unfortunately, this cost has gone up significantly recently. I think the last, like 2016, 17, we were looking at 205,000 for this same truck. So those costs have really escalated. Replacing number 38, it's 14 years old. This will be replaced with a either F-250 or 2500 class utility truck. Replacing number 5, this is actually out of service, so it's completely out of service. We'll replace this with an F-550 or 5500 class hook lift, 185,000. Truck 7, same thing. It's in poor condition, past its retirement age, and we'll replace it with a hook lift. Number 8, again, out of service. This has actually been auctioned already because it basically died on us. And again, F-550 hook lift. And our replacing number 25, which is one of the vans used by our building trades. We'll replace this with a E350 class van or transit type van for $50,000. Any questions on motor equipment before I move on?
So Dave, is that,
Yeah.
is that the order you would want them prioritized?
Yeah, I
Well,
think that's a good order. Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure. Thank you.
And then Dave, on that cost for the 185,000 for 550, that's like outfitted plow, sander,
Yeah,
and a hook lift tub, right?
Hook
Or,
lift. So that's what really drives the cost of the hook lift. But those
that
become,
includes those accessories too, right? Like
exactly.
a sander and is it a dumpster and a mason dump or just the dumpster?
We probably will have a dump body and a sander only. The 185, we're still getting very close on what we can afford.
Sure.
And we do have other bodies in the fleet right now. So we have container bodies, we have flatbeds. So we need less of those bodies. So that's what we're proposing. So
Will the 550 ones fit like the medium duties, like the Peterbilts, or is it a different hook lift?
no, it's a different size, but
Yep.
we have several of those already. So we're looking to just keep that fleet going.
Got it.
The most recent acquisitions we've had have not been hook lifts because we couldn't afford them. We intended to have hook lifts, but they've just gone a straight dump body. They're useful, but not as useful. So that's our
Understood. Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, no, it sounds like a lot for an F550, but it makes sense with when
right
they're fully
now.
outfitted.
Yeah, right now, 2,500 is running us about 85,000. So
yeah,
with just a plow. So
of course, yeah.
Dave, do you have any
Alright.
pictures of what the hook lift looks like?
I'm sorry, I don't. I did that initially when we actually. Let's see. So that bottom truck is a hook lift. That's a F550 hook lift. So basically the body is just interchangeable. It's got basically a hook on it, hydraulic arm. You can set it down and then pick up another body. All you do is make your connections for hydraulics and you're ready to roll. So you can change it in about 5 to 10 minutes. So
The closest thing's like a dumpster truck. That the roll-off dumpsters you get. Like it's the same style body as that, so you can just drop those accessories off and put a different one on the back of it.
Yeah, it's very useful. There are 3,500 GVWs, which is the top picture, are basically our most used truck in the fleet because we can use them for everything, whether it's a hot box or a flatbed. We can tow equipment with it, trench boxes, things like that. And then we have containers and dumpster bodies for them as well. So get back to where I was. Sorry if I'm making anyone dizzy. All right, so pavement management is our next request. We need about $1.9 million a year in road funding to keep our roads where they are. We currently get about 700, and it's actually 725,000 now. I should update that. So we're looking for $500,000 in pavement management funding just to kind of stay in that ballpark of $1 million, $1.5 million for road improvements. We do use Chapter 90 funds for other things other than paving as needed, like tip project design, things like that. So proposing a new 308 class excavator. This is not the first year we've done this. This is a very useful piece of equipment. We basically rent this every year. We use it for during our construction season. So owning this would probably be cheaper than renting it. Looking for $200,000 in facilities capital improvement costs. This basically, operating budgets are fairly tight. So when we have needs for our buildings, remodeling offices, changing out carpeting, new electrical panels, fire alarm panels, this is a fund we go to. We have some remaining funds, but we are getting close to depleting those. So we'll need a refresh in the near future. Asking for $80,000 to update our planimetric features. This is for our GIS system. Having these planimetrics are a quick way to represent our GIS system. It's a lot easier to load. So this works well in the field. Having accurate and up-to-date planimetrics is important. If you're marking out water mains, you want to know where that house is or building is, and things change over time. So that's what we're looking for. This would be done as part of a flyover with USGS. USGS basically goes and flies every once in a while, and they'll make that imagery available to us. We don't have a schedule on when they're going to fly. It just kind of comes up when they get funding. And then if they do fly it, we could take those stereo pairs that are the product and update our planimetrics. Asking for $25,000 for our transition plan. This has been funded the last few years. It's been very helpful. We've used this in conjunction with our road projects to upgrade curb ramps and things like that. We've also used it for building work as well. We've eliminated some of our oldest buildings in the 3 schools, and we'll be doing the same with DPW, police, fire, and the water division soon. So there'll be less need for the building side of it, but again, the road side of it is still important. Looking for LaRue D45 loader mounted snow blower. So this is a very large snow blower that mounts on a front end loader. It basically makes snow removal and cleanup much quicker. We would use this downtown. We would basically push all the snow from downtown, from the sidewalks, into the middle, and just windrow this right into a truck. Basically, you just have a truck follow you right next to you, and you can throw it in there. And now with the new configuration of Blanche Ames, it's going to require, if we ever do get snow again, significant snow removal. There's just not a lot of places to put it, despite our best efforts. So having this would really help. This will also help in the future new buildings, because again, we're dealing with tight spaces. There are spots to put snow, but not a lot. And we're asking for $900,000 to fund the abatement and demolition of the center school. This building is currently vacant. A demolition would help make the redevelopment of the site more attractive to prospective buyers or bidders. And this would help reduce the cost to DPW. We currently maintain the building. We have to do building checks on it, make sure people aren't getting in and vandalizing it. We have shut off the heat and winterized it, but we still have electricity on and alarm systems on. So, and then spend staff time every day and every week in this building. So it'd be nice to get this demolished, because I don't think there's any real use for this building, is what we found out. We are exploring grant opportunities. Town administrator and the planning director are looking at various grants to help pave the way for future redevelopment. So hopefully we could offset the cost of the $900,000 with grants. And that brings me to the end of the DPW items. Any questions before I move on and turn over to Rich? All right. So Rich, I'll tap you in and feel free to go through, and I'll just give me a shout when you want me to advance the slide.
All right, thank you all. Good evening. The first slide I'm going to show you is a motor utility truck that we're looking to get replaced. And as Dave has mentioned about our fleet, it gets to a certain age and then they become a perpetual maintenance equipment that needs to constantly be with the mechanics, and items need to be repaired. So we're looking for this truck's replacement and bringing in a newer 250 utility truck. So there's a lot of moving parts to this project here, but as you folks are aware, we have built 3 filter plants here in Easton. This new iron and manganese filtration plant down on Red Mill Road is supplied by 3 wells that have different levels of PFAS. 3 and 5 are a little bit over 10 parts, and 7 is a little bit under 10 parts. The federal government, the EPA, is close to proposing a new regulation to move the PFAS level down to 4 parts per trillion. So this funding is to stay ahead and advance the filtration of PFAS at this facility. Those 2 large panels that are on this image to the right side, they can actually remove those panels, and that's where those new filters would enter the building. All right, next slide, Dave.
Sure.
Along this same vein of discussion of PFAS and filter media. So the 3 filter plants I mentioned to you at wells 1, 2, and 4 are, we installed ion exchange resin inside of these. And the $1 million question is, how long of a life will the resin last? And we're hopeful that it gets more than a year, but this funding is for that backup. So when we do tests and we have breakthrough, that we have the funding there so that we can immediately talk to our vendor, bring in new media to replace this material, which will be taken away, and new material will be added to the vessels, whether it's 1, 2, or 4. That's what this funding is for.
And Rich, can I just clarify for everyone, just when we say breakthrough, that's breakthrough on one of the filters. They run in series. So the water enters one filter, goes into the other filter afterwards. So when we sense breakthrough in the first filter, we still have a whole nother filter that's going to filter that out. So we have time to then, we take it offline, we reverse the flow, goes through the good filter first, and then we replace the media in the filter that's fouled. So there is time. So when you say breakthrough, we're not going to be non-compliant. Just want to make sure everyone understands that. And
yeah, they refer to this style as a lead and a lag. So one vessel that is always set up is getting the water first. So that one there is probably going to have breakthrough before the second one. And the whole theory is that time element, once you have a breakthrough, that you're starting to have detections, that is when you start the clock to talk to your vendors to have this funding already in the queue, ready to go, so you can replace this media.
So what is the actual, Rich, what is the expected life supposedly of these filters?
So they all vary because it depends on the flow capacity of your well that's pushing through there and the volumes or the contaminant level. So most of our levels vary, you know, like these wells we addressed because they were over 20 parts per trillion. So they're in the range of like 20 to 50. So our consultants have kind of indicated that we should get a year, but there's a lot of unknowns to it right now, and I wish I had a crystal ball to tell you.
Nope, I appreciate that. Thank you, Rich.
Yep.
And that's a good question. So they've done bench scale testing, so small column tests to try to figure out and extrapolate when they will go bad, but it's not the same as actually running it on a full scale version. So we have some ideas, but not exact.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, this next funding is for a master plan, and this master plan is kind of like our roadmap for our organization. So last year we did a hydraulic model, and the hydraulic model pairs with this, and it helps us to assess all of our assets within the operation. So we'll be able to look at our replacement costs of, you know, water mains, looking at analysis for realigning water mains in certain areas of town to help improve flows and help the tanks move more efficiently, and also just basic water quality improvements by replacing mains in areas in certain limited capacity. So this whole plan helps provide us a roadmap to future endeavors for joint DPW operations. This request is for analyzers and chemical feed pumps. So with all the construction that we have going on for filtration, there's been some equipment that we utilize that runs constantly in our pump stations and wells. And this tracks the chlorine and the pH that we adjust in the water for corrosion control. And a lot of the existing equipment that we have is no longer supported. And so we're trying to standardize the type of equipment that we have in our wells that falls in line with our new filter treatment plant, so that when my staff needs to replace pumps or analyzer equipment, we have all the same pieces and parts, and it just helps us streamline to be a more efficient operation by having this standardization going on. This is an annual request. So with 170 miles of water main here in Easton, we have a lot of pipe that is of that 50 to 75 years of age, and it's part of my responsibility to target these things and work with DPW to try to align a lot of our projects. So if there's a roadway that needs to be replaced, that we work in unison. So we try to approach certain areas every year and target places where we've either had failure or we know that we have pipe that's in this 50 to 75 years or older, and get that out of the system before we have other types of emergencies. And I'm ready for your questions.
You answered mine. Anyone else from the board have any questions for either DPW or water?
I mean, it's just it's so hard to imagine that I spend $1 million a year to get down to 4 parts per trillion of PFAS, which, like, I'm an engineer, so I have like it's a really fast math, and it's like less than an ounce of PFAS in an 80-year life if someone's drinking a half a gallon of water a year. But it is what it is. I get it. I just that's a tough nut to swallow by the EPA to go to 3 parts per trillion. I mean, shoot.
Yeah, it's basically non-detect. We have to get to non-detect. 4
Yeah,
parts
non-detect,
is the
and
detection limit of PFAS,
I
so.
mean, it's just a mind-blowing number to chase out a little piece of plastic that they're there forever. They're going to be there forever. But I get it. That's the EPA sending it to us, and we're going to pay for it.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing or seeing none, I want to thank our partners over at DPW and Water for their presentation.
All right. Thank you all. Have a great night.
You.
Thank
Paul,
you.
Dave,
Thanks,
can you
guys.
send me a PDF of your presentation?
Yes.
So I can put it
Yep.
online.
Yep.
Great,
No problem.
thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. All right, and I believe next on our list is prioritization. Right, how does it notes?
What's on the,
Agenda.
just calling up the agenda. Okay. Oh, so yeah, so that is the last of the requests for this year. So I don't know if we wanted to look at the whole listing. I put that out online. There are a lot of requests this year.
And Wendy, do we have an idea what our funding might be?
Oh, I think our funding is gonna be a little bit more limited this year. This has been a really hard budget year. Our preliminary, we always, every year when we do the preliminary budget, there's always a deficit. But it was a lot larger this year than it has been in past years. Part of that has to do with, a lot of things hitting at once. We do have some expiration of federal funds, but also health insurance this year is going up, more than it has in prior years. The regional school, that assessment is going to be a lot larger than that has been in the past. So there's a lot of things kind of all happening at once that are contributing to this. So I do think that the capital will be a little bit more limited. It's certainly for the annual town meeting. And we'll probably have to potentially push more things to the fall.
So just for anyone who's new on the board, usually it's prioritized for emergency or anything that requires for safety. We try to push to the top of our list.
Yeah.
Wendy, can you share the list with everyone, or I have it in front of me?
Does this look really small? Because I have one of those big screens and sometimes I need to.
Oh yeah, that's
you
really
could
small.
Zoom in would be pretty sweet. There we go. Yeah, keep going. You're about halfway there.
Halfway there? Oh, wow.
I think I'll look on my Excel sheet.
Is
That's
that better?
better. Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
We can read those. No, well, I mean, you can still make it bigger. I don't know if you can read it at all on your screen.
Because it looks huge to me, but I don't know what it looks like.
No, I can just make that out.
Oh, so more?
That's good for me, at least.
Yeah, I can read that.
I can read it.
Okay, so this is in kind of no particular order, although I did put public safety first, just because that always tends to rise to the top of the list based on the prioritization of, health and safety.
Now, do we tend to push the police vehicles off to the fall or no?
Police vehicles, yes, they've become a fall cycle.
All right.
It's amazing that you can buy a police cruiser fully decked out for the same or for less than a F-250, which is mind blowing. 68,000 for a fully decked out cruiser labeled electronics, but a F-250 costs, I think you said 80-something thousand. So it's just crazy.
Yep. So yeah, you've got the fire department ambulance, that's one that is probably more likely to be funded only because there is such a long lead time.
Correct.
And we do have some money, I think I have that down, sorry, at the bottom of this spread. We've got 152,780 that we got from Medicare cost recovery that we can put towards that 480 for the ambulance.
I feel like the ambulance have to go to the
Yep.
top. I mean, they're on the third engine on one of them. So I mean, the 2016. So like
Yeah.
in the DPW scale of things, they're past their useful life. You know, on the. I mean, it's no different than an F550. Realistically, I mean, I suppose it's similar, but different. I mean, they're using them every day really hard.
Mhm. I would agree. So I would probably put ambulance 1, the defibrillators 2 for the police.
Two. Yep. And the cruisers for 3. Right, fire engine to move, engine to reserve.
I'll change this header.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't have to do all the priorities tonight, because we
No.
do have our meeting that we usually have with the town administrator,
Gotcha.
which I wanted to see if people were available next week to be able to do that
I am out of town next week.
this week. Okay.
I'm on vacation, school vacation week, but I can give up a minute.
I'm on
to,
vacation this week as well. School vacation.
Wendy,
The following week?
The following week, yes,
Yeah.
15 through 19 is school vacation, I think.
Right. Would you be able to meet that week?
I'd kind of
I
rather
would not be
but-
able to meet that week.
Yeah, I feel like that's gonna be a tough week.
so what, Wendy, if you have a quorum next week and you can move forward, please
Yeah,
do.
do you
I
want-
can meet next week.
Yeah, I can meet next week. I mean, it's probably a Wednesday meeting for me. I'm going to look at the sun on Monday, so
A lack of sun?
the lack of sun. Yeah, we're going to Jackman to see it. So I'm going to go to Northern Maine.
Steve, how about you?
Never know. You can try next Wednesday, I guess.
Okay,
Yeah,
This
I'll
is
be back.
This is with Connor, is that what it is?
yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm back in town next Friday. So
okay. All right. I mean, we can still go through the list. I mean, it's on the
Yeah.
agenda anyway. If you
Yeah.
wanted to, we could come up with this and then meet with the town administrator and, finalize
Maybe a
it from
couple
there.
steps ahead. Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, so here's the whole list. With all the different items. It's a big total. But I also tried to separate out like what was water because water, is funded from the enterprise fund.
Mhm.
It's,
And what is general fund. So, still a very large number, 6.6 million for the general fund.
no, Wendy, on the enterprise fund, is that only to be used on water department purchases, or could that be used for other town purchases?
No, just water.
It's just water, so
Yeah.
it's a separate. I mean, it just helps me think about it in my head what the difference is. So
Yep. Yeah, because it's funded all out of the user fees.
Yeah,
It's in
of
its own
course.
fund. It's separate from the general fund operating budget.
What was last year's total that we had?
for
Last
requests,
year's,
That was actually passed. So I'm new to this, so I see 6.6 million, but that doesn't mean anything to me. You know, if I knew last year we had 2.5 million, it means something to me that we actually got.
I can tell you, let's see. Let me just, hang on, I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm gonna just call it up. So last year at the annual town meeting. I don't, can you see that?
Too
Well,
small.
just give us a number.
Yeah.
All right, so it was actually pretty large last year, but that was kind of unusual also. So now I sound like a,
We funded the, there was some planning stuff for the DPW police fire in that. There was a big spend, right?
so there was 7.7 million for general and 2.7 for enterprise, but there were some things in it. We had 2.2 million for a ladder truck. We had $1.9 million as part of the design initial phase for the school security. Those were the two biggest items on there, and then we did do more like we did an ambulance replacement last year. We did some DPW hook lifts and things like that because in particular because we knew that there was going to be such a long lead time for those that we authorized them knowing that we weren't actually going to have to pay for them, this year. And as you can see, out of that 7.7 million, 5.7 is borrowing.
Yeah, we also had some debt that was closed out last year too, if I remember correctly.
So yeah, that one was big. If you ever want to go back, if you ever want to look at anything, like there's a section on the website, it's town reports and financial information. We put a lot of stuff out here on the web. There's a section here you can get reports from accounting for the current fiscal year. This is where all the budget information is, but if you scroll down, there's a lot of information here. Last year's capital budget memo was there. Our Moody's reports, financial statements, the section annual town reports. But if you scroll down to the very bottom, these are all like the town meeting finance plans. So you can see what we funded at all of the town meetings and what the different funding sources were. So it's a good reference tool. You wanted to go back to like last year's annual town meeting, the capital budget. So the general budget at that meeting was like $1.3 million. And water was a lot bigger, with 3.6 million. So and that's a more typical year that you would see for the
I'm
general.
sorry, what year was that? I can't read the year, Wendy.
Oh, sorry. So that was fiscal 22.
Okay.
Well, for fiscal 23. So it was a town meeting in May of 2022. I know, sorry, oh, wait,
There you go. Yeah, that's the one.
sorry. It's
Way better.
at a different spot on the screen, so.
Okay.
So yeah, so back in May, it was $1.3 million.
And you think we're gonna have less this year? Because we have a tighter budget?
I can't say for sure, because once we balance the budget, we're gonna look at all of the needs and what do we, what do we really need to fund? And we'll make those decisions. I'm probably have to borrow for a lot of it. Because I know that there's gonna be, you know, significant amount of free cash that's gonna go just toward, you know, the operating budget. We're even looking at, we're probably gonna have to take some money out of stabilization for next year's operating budget, which it's not ideal, but
Well, whatever the interest
Where
rates
we're
are,
at.
it's better than that. Yeah, I mean,
so. All right, let me go back to. Can you see that now, capital budget?
nope,
No,
we're still on the same old sheet.
Right. Okay. That one?
yep,
It's better. Yep.
So. So yes, 6.6 is a lot.
So it was a million something last year. It's 6.6 this year.
So it was, no, I think it was like 7 last year, but that was, but we had that was unusual because
I mean, I'm sorry, 2022 was like a million.
right, 1.3 million, yeah.
so basically, Wendy, until we really have that meeting with Connor, we really can't have an idea what prioritization should be.
I mean, we can still prioritize it. It's just a matter, you know, sometimes things, if it's a smaller item and it doesn't cost a lot, it might, you know,
Right,
it might rise to the top just because it's something that's easier to afford than a larger item.
And these are some, I'm sorry, I'm looking down, there's like some older requests on there that not even on, so all those just get stricken off, the school department ones. That are not even ranked.
yeah, that's out in 2028, I think.
Right, so this is like the 5-year plan, so you can kind of see what's on the horizon, but what we're gonna just rank is the fiscal 25 requests.
I can't, I don't see what the top of that, what the column's labeled for, so that's what I was struggling with. Oh, there we go.
Sorry.
That's better. Yeah.
I'll wait a minute.
It's okay. No, I got it now. I can.
Yes, it's
Fathom.
column F we're looking at.
Yeah. So I did put all the water stuff at the bottom.
Mhm.
So do we want to look at prioritizing anything else, or do we want to just wait to meet with Connor?
I'm just looking at this, making sure we have. So basically, after that we have probably the top DPW need, and then the school computers for both the town and for the school system, the IT stuff. Because you definitely need to look at that cybersecurity improvement piece. So you need to get that finished off.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
even on the computers, you know, the line 21. I mean, you defer it too long, and then you have to replace everything. You know.
I'd
Right,
like
just because
consideration
of
for
obsolescence.
even before the computers or the security, I think is very important.
There must be a way to split that 1.5 million, you know, to smaller projects. I assume it's smaller projects. So if I knew what that was, maybe there's one project for 600 and one for 300 and another one for 3, another one for 3.
No, I'm sorry. The security system upgrades. That's like the comprehensive, all buildings, all included, cameras, doors, switches, hardware. Like they have an OPM. You know, it's like a master plan I don't think that one could be broken, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah,
I-
no, not gonna be able to break up the 1.5. They are still in the design, phase of this, but they will definitely need the 1.9, the 1.5 for fiscal 25. And I would look to put that next or, or even sooner than, earlier in the prioritization, but I think it should at least, my recommendation would make it at least a 4.
4 it is.
Did you want to do 5 for cybersecurity or?
I think that's very important to the town.
Yeah, I think it is too. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
And that's kind of low hanging fruit based on cost wise as well.
yeah, and the repercussions of it are, significant. With cybersecurity side of things. I mean, ransomware is real.
It is. All right. All right, so we're up to 5. So I don't know if we want to
well, that's more
look at
than
some of
enough
these
money,
other
right?
things too.
Weren't there some vehicles that were dead that they weren't even using, if I remember?
Yes. So
Yeah,
there
well-
was number 14, I think. There was a couple of the
Yeah.
dump trucks.
Yeah, and I that's why I asked Dave directly. He said that he was in the right order. The one he really would want to
The
prioritize is the
2001
Mac.
Mac.
Yeah.
So that's this one, yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is in order. So I have 1A,
Right.
1B,
Oh, he does.
1C.
Yeah, he does have them prioritized. All right. Yeah,
Right.
1A.
I asked him that. So yes, I think that should be next.
Yeah.
The DPW gets that. At least that one piece.
Yeah,
All right.
And then let's see, that's
what about the center school? I mean, that seems like something that should be done.
that's a large sum though, I think,
Yeah, it was
900,000.
900,000 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wasn't it?
they're hoping to get a grant for like 500,000. So I mean, I don't
Do you
know.
know-
I can't see funding that unless we get a grant to help
Yeah,
offset the
okay.
cost.
Was there a time frame that we would know the results of the grant?
Mm,
I don't think that.
I don't- I'm
was
not
reading it
sure.
this afternoon. Yeah.
All right, I think that's up for discussion more. I don't think that's something we want to prioritize
Yeah.
at this level. We probably want to take care of some of the basic needs for the town, such as the town computers and the school computer technology pieces that can move forward on daily operations.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
Probably wait for Connor for the rest.
I agree with that.
Okay. So want to do just school technology next?
yeah, I think so. I mean, it definitely falls ahead of taking the center school down. I mean, at center school, you can do nothing to it and let it burn. It's not gonna stop kids from learning.
I agree.
All right, so that
I think if we fund that, my recommendation would be we do a borrowing authorization. If we didn't get the grant, we just wouldn't move ahead with the project.
Sure.
But that can be later on in the prioritization anyway. It doesn't have to be.
yeah, I
mean,
don't believe that's our top priority.
What we pay in interest on the loan is probably far exceeds how much it costs us annually to do checks and I know there's maintenance associated with it, but
Wendy, was there anything out that you noticed on this list that we probably want to get on on next online, or did we hit everything that we probably should at this point?
Let's see.
what about pavement and management? that one had a significant, there was matching, there was a fund, a 700,000 fund to match that, correct?
The Chapter 90 funds, yeah.
Yeah, the Chapter 90, yeah, what do we have to do to qualify for those Chapter 90 funds?
We get those every year. There's an allotment.
Okay.
It's dependent on appropriation at the state level.
Got it. So
Which
it's not
is-
like we
pretty
have
Which
to
is
flat.
match that
suspect,
number.
apparently.
Excuse me?
State funding is apparently suspect for the amounts we're getting, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
Chapter
kept,
90 has been flat for years. So what that means obviously is you're buying, your purchasing power
Purchasing
declines.
power goes down, yeah.
This year we did though, due to that fair share, those fair share taxes. I think we got another 376,000. So we did get some extra funding, this fiscal year.
oh, do we need to get that chimney taken care of too? For the
Oh,
health?
yeah.
Let's get that,
That's
please.
Health and Community Services. Yes,
Yes, so
yep, good point.
Make sure we
Let's
take care
make
of that.
that one, what are we at? 7?
I
So
think.
that'd be 8?
No, that's 9, I think.
Oh, wait, what was, oh, yeah, yep. Thank you.
Mhm.
Oh, we got the old pond dam safety repairs.
Yeah, oh, we have to do those too, don't we? That might have to go up a bit, doesn't it?
I think it does. I mean, that dam's pretty important.
The dam is damn. I think that needs to be pushed up ahead of so it has to go to probably to 6. Everything else moved down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that.
Are there any state matching funds for that, or that we know of? No.
I don't know. I know
remember.
if there's any available, they will definitely apply for them.
Yeah. Line 17, Wendy.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I think you got him. Oh, no. Yeah, I think you got him.
Yeah, I think you got them now. All right, so I think now we have our top 10. I think that's if we can get those funded, that would be quite a accomplishment at this point, I think. But
Mhm.
we'll
Yep.
There was the culvert one. I don't know where that one lands, but I think one was Main Street and one was Bridge Culvert Designs. It was up a little bit. Small Bridge Culvert Design.
Yeah, it was next year, not this year.
Oh, that's next year. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we did 2 culverts last year, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So I think we probably talked to Connor whenever you can set up that meeting and see where we take it from there.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. And then the water stuff.
If you want to, just it's automatic, but if you need to put that as 11 down.
Yeah, and we actually, I think we just call that other anyway, and we kind of
Yep.
fund it's all coming from the enterprise fund, so it doesn't have to compete with the other items, because they're not part of the general fund.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean that everything is a given that it's gonna get funded, but it's a different, it's ranked differently.
Right, so do you want us to go through the water piece
So,
and stuff?
I think
I think it's pretty straightforward. We get the PFAS we have to do.
yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
think, you're
I think I have-
gonna be looking at borrowing for the 5 million.
Mhm.
borrowing for the water main replacement. This 890 though, that's a recurring, if that's gonna be a recurring cost, like, I mean, we gotta figure out how to work that into operating.
Mm-hmm. Right, if it's once a year, yeah, I know.
Yeah, the other items, master plan, pump analyzers, the utility truck, that can all come out of water surplus. Won't have to borrow for that. So, and then the water main replacement. Again, that'll be borrowing, so that'll probably go in there and then we won't borrow for it until we need it.
Okay.
So that's the list. So, what I can do is I can resort this. And I'll resort it too, so just, all your fiscal 25 stuff is first and then the other
Yeah.
years.
That would be helpful because I was struggling just to sort through them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll do that. I won't do that on the screen. That'll be messy. But yeah, I'll send that out.
Appreciate it, Wendy.
Okay, good.
Okay, and our last item was just the approval of the last meeting's minutes
Yes.
that was on the website. Did hopefully everyone had a chance to take a look at those? If I could have a motion to
Make a motion to accept them.
And do I have a
Second,
second?
to Napoli?
Thank you. I will now take a vote. Merlin,
Yes. Merlin,
Murphy?
yes.
Murphy, yes.
DiNapoli?
To Napoli, yes.
You guys are moving on me. Nightingale
Nightingale, yes.
and Blumwald, yes.
Great.
Motion to adjourn. Is that in order?
Second, to
Oh.
Napoli?
Yeah, and I'll send out an email about next week.
That'd be
Thank you,
great.
Wendy.
So,
All right.
thank you.
I have a
All right,
motion
thank
on
you.
the floor and seconded. All in favor?
Murphy, yes.
Merlin,
Merlin, yes.
DiNapoli,
To Napoli, yes.
Nightingale,
Nightingale, yes.
and Blumwald, yes. Thank you everyone for your time.
All right. Thanks.
Good
Have a
night.
good night, everyone. Yep.
Have a good night.